Welcome back. Let's play some 10-minute games here on Shogi Wars. Good luck. An early escape of the king gains 8 moves. How many moves does a late escape the king gain? I wonder. So, recently on Lichess, there is a feedback forum. There has been for the longest time. But recently, I engaged in one of the feedback topics, which had to do with what's the opening, what's the middle game, what's the end game. Can we improve these definitions and tools and things like that? And, you know, with software, many things are possible. Many things are also not possible. Such as achieving world peace. Software is probably not going to do that. You never know, but I wouldn't bet that software would achieve such a thing. It'd be pretty safe to bet that software is not by itself going to bring about world peace. Similarly, redefining how players think about openings and endgames for all players. You'd need some pretty compelling tools and arguments and such. So, just because, I don't know, games as it stands in chess today can end without an endgame happening. And not just thanks to resignation, but thanks to, I forget the word. Well, yeah, players accidentally fall into traps, and resignation's appropriate. Wait, hang on. Hang on. As I'm speaking about endgames, we're about to witness one right here. Bishop takes looks really strong. Pawn takes might be stronger, because they could block this with the knight. Oh, actually. I missed something for quite a few moves in a row. Oh, if I bring the rook over, they just push this pawn. Okay, never mind. So let's push this pawn. So, an early escape the king gains 8 moves. This king only has so far to run here. Mm-hmm. Silver 5-5 is blocked by my bishop. Mm-hmm. There we go. Progress. Let's keep going. Mm-hmm. So how will they defend everything? But yeah, in chess, games can end without an endgame happening. And while that is somewhat tragic to our mathematical understanding of chess, players accept it and move on. It could potentially be useful to have a universal model where, I don't know, like, it was proposed that activating pieces to checkmate the king should actually identify the endgame phase of chess. And we should have a different word for endgame. Okay. So for what we call endgame today, where many pieces have been exchanged and it's safe to bring the king into the center and all these things that you commonly think about, the chess endgame. Could be useful to have a universal model where it's easy to understand that. Sure, I could see that viewpoint. Certainly mathematically it would be nice. However, there are some practical difficulties with teaching this model to anything other than a computer. Since, like, if a checkmate trap appears in the opening or in the middle game of a chess game, and say there's mate in 35, humans probably not going to spot that.
7分。
You never know, but the more complex a checkmate is, the harder it is to spot. So it's quite possible that by definition something, well, depending how you change your definitions, but you can, if you were to define the end game as the phase of the game where, like, the pieces collaborate to checkmate a king, if you define it mathematically somehow where it's that final push in the game to checkmate the opponent, the same way you would in Shogi, there's a chance you'd have a transition very quickly from opening to endgame by a mistake, or from middle game to endgame. And both players would have missed the transition, and then they suddenly are transitioning back into an opening or middle game because they missed the key point. And so, like, modeling, anyway, trying to teach people this understanding. Good, thanks for the game. Trying to teach people this understanding would be a bit much and not practical. But maybe you could teach this to an engine. To good luck. That it needs some designation of what's an opening and what's an end game. But I'm not convinced that engines need that definition either. Stockfish is pretty strong. It, at least in terms of how the developers coded Stockfish, it has parameters and constants that are all about this concept of endgame that are unique to Stockfish. Again, if I push bishop, if I move the bishop, push, takes, no, that's not profitable. Let's just castle and forget this. Okay, so the bishop's hanging. Only for this turn. I'm just gonna castle. Bishop is still hanging. No, it's not. The rook's defending the bishop. Just kidding. Alright, so an early escape the king gains 8 moves. So I've gained like 24 moves already. It's not bad. Yeah, oh, that was a point I raised in the forum as well. That, like, if both players miss this, like, of what use is this classification? And further, like, say that the world champion is playing a game and then is confronted by a popular American grandmaster after the game who asked him why he didn't play the best moves in something like that. Like, and he's like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm just human. Like, it wasn't a smooth conversion. Okay. So, what do you want me to do? Like, so we could come up with this kind of model. It wouldn't be the easiest to teach model ever. So yeah, of what use is this model, especially if, like, say the world champion manages to win the game just playing normal moves and just doesn't spot the sequence where, like, some trap and there would have been a checkmate. I don't know. It's just a challenging model to find practical uses for, since it wouldn't apply for humans effectively, and it wouldn't apply for engines either, whose developers currently are human and encode into said engines constructs about what what evaluation factors to consider per game phase and how much to weight them. Still waiting for this silver to jump out, do something exciting. Yeah, having this open is a bit spooky. I don't want to go all the way back because this silver might like hit my bishop and rook. And retreating sucks in general. Um, um, anyway, so side note, Lichess forums are not really a great place for back and forth discourse. Forums of any kind have never really been for that purpose. People like to imagine that, hey, the forum name says feedback. This is where I should provide any and all feedback and expect it to be handled to my full satisfaction. And I explain it that way just to hyperbolically point out, like, people are never going to be fully satisfied by the answers in that forum. It's only going to raise more questions. So I saw this, I saw that, I saw this. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, you mean you didn't see this? Or, like, why the sudden wait here? I was moving slowly. Okay. I only point this out just to explain it's okay to take your time. It's totally fine, even in a 10-minute game. Think about your moves before you play them when you still have an opportunity to make changes. Alright, so I'll take one of these. Thank you. Maybe they were looking at this continuation and trying to find a way, like, can I get this general out here? Can I checkmate this king? I don't know. I think the decision-making moment already passed, but maybe that's just me. So if I retreat, gold drop, I retreat again.
7分。
Am I actually mated after being kind of mean to my opponent here? We'll find out. I think I'm fine. Yeah, there I tick, yeah, temporarily responding to this. I'm like, well, either the game's over, or it's important that I play the correct moves. Because, like, anyway. Does it need explanation at this point? Maybe. Yeah, correct moves sometimes matter. So, yeah, I can afford to indulge. I'm either mated and it doesn't matter how much time I spend, or I'm completely winning and it also doesn't matter how much time I spend. Arguably, it'd be good for me to know before I dove headfirst into this, but it worked out. Yep, it's fine. Oh, this is kind of fun. Yeah. Let's get this out there. Now we got two bishops aiming at the king. This one isn't quite there, but you know, it's there in spirit. Also free night. Free night, which I can drop to, I don't know what. We'll figure it out. I probably had more accurate moves than those I played, but these ended up being good enough. So yeah, public forums on the internet. I mean, some are tried increasingly being designed with the idea of public discourse in mind, with back and forth, and trying to um, make sure that the most interesting comments make it through. Um, but generally, that's just not how forums work. Issue trackers, like on GitHub, might do somewhat better, but again, neither here nor there. Um, I had a third concept that was different from all this that I intended to get to, and I just forgotten it. Silly me. Um, oh, that's a clever move. Oh, that's clever. Alright. Alright, wise guy, you get my bishop. I'm not giving up my king here. I'll give up my bishop, but not my king. Now you're probably gonna come up with more
5分
tactics that are not so easy to answer. Um, hmm. Maybe silver drop here. I don't know. Well, perhaps I can find a way to make this game boring. We'll find out. Um, yes, just having better tooling, I think, will help us to better review and understand and teach one another. I keep, so yesterday after the game stream, I did translate some strings for Lee Chess into Latin because that was kind of fun. Um, this knight is loose, isn't it? That's funny. Um, okay. So I guess I'll capture this one. My opponent might want to take my knight, and I might even give it to them. I might not want it anymore. Or I might jump it out here and try to make some attack with it. We'll offer them another pawn, just because I'm a nice guy. And not because I have any ulterior motive here. Nope, definitely not scheming anything. Well, they did block this diagonal after I opened it with the pawn. If I had more pawns, I could easily reopen it, but alas, I have none. Alright, that helps. Now we're talking. I don't have mates, so I guess I'm just going to take this. Again, dodging tactics left and right. At least I'm trying to.
2分30秒
Okay. We got 2 pieces defending this pawn. I've got more than 2 attacking it. Thanks for the game. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I'd like to see better tooling for chess openings and shogi openings. Maybe someday I can help make it. Good luck. Continuing to follow up with... Oh, wait. Okay, there I go. I got my badge, guys. Continuing to follow up with Lee Chess about trying to improve the rating system to consider who moved first as part of the rating calculation. If moving first confers an advantage, and it does, then it's useful, as Glickman suggests, as his own submission in the FIDE Deloitte challenge on Kaggle suggests. It's useful to factor that in when computing players' estimated performance level. It's not rocket science. Here, let's push this. This looks fun. So I'm trying to stop bishop there. Boop. Alright. Now, if I take... Well, what's the merit in taking? Taking would move my silver around. No. Taking would prevent my silver from bouncing around, so I retain control of 5-5. That looks useful. The counterpoint is that I give them a pawn in hand, but I'm not so alarmed about that. If I push and if I push here, does the order matter? It's safer to push this first. Wait, if I push this second, if bishop takes, do I play rook takes bishop? I wasn't thinking about that, but, I mean, alternatively, like pawn takes, silver takes, and then I push this next, they take my silver, I promote, the rook runs. I start chasing, and I might not get my material back. So, um, I still think, like, them pushing this pawn or taking my pawn is going to generate weakness. Well, the silver covers this hole. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing, obviously. Um, Pawn, bishop, bishop, or rook takes, pawn takes, bishop drop, rook over. I don't seem to prevail there. If I push this? No. Well, maybe. Um, there's some sequence here which makes sense. And if I play the wrong... Well, I could actually kick this, but no. Gold takes. I don't profit either. Gold takes, bishop staring in my camp. Bishop drop, rook over somewhere. I still invade. Gold hits the bishop, bishop promotes back here. I'm still putting pressure on. Wait, I don't have a bishop. Just kidding. Pawn, 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 silver take. No, they can't take. Okay, I'm gonna gamble on this. Worst case, I'm losing a pawn. Best case, it's 1,000 times better than that. So, it's worth gambling on.
7分。
Um, Pawn 5-5 is still interesting. It's not quite interesting enough. We'll do it later. This first. This second, blocking my silver that I just went through the trouble of unblocking. Third, we have this new avenue for both silvers into opponent's position. I still don't have a pawn in hand. Hmm. Okay. Once unblock my bishop. I have a pawn in hand. What in the world? Really? Why that? Okay, then. I'm not the only one overplaying
5分
here. Alright, their rook is... All my entry points for the rook are guarded. So the rook's not entering. I guess silver takes is possible. Yes, my king is open to lateral attacks, and theirs is not. This is a sharp opening. This continues being a sharp opening. I don't know where they're planning to go next with this. Okay, this is their plan? Maybe? I don't know. Rook takes pawn's an idea. Pawn takes knight is an idea. I still don't see a fork.
3分
2 pieces. 3 pieces. Yeah, right? When does this happen? When do I get to play interesting games? On Shogi Wars, of all things. Uh, like, so many games I've been down on the concept that, like, you're not going to have some incredible strategic thing going on in Shogi Wars with Kiramaka. Maybe with other time controls it could happen, but I'd never expect it to happen in
2分
Kiramaka.
30秒
And, well, this game got interesting. Um,
2分、
Gosh darn it. That's a good move. It's a precise move. Okay. They have 3 silvers in hand. So the reason I keep broadcasting this message that, like, why worry about these things that never happen is because players tend to worry a lot about things that won't happen.
1分30秒、
But in this case, we actually do have an interesting game. And it is a problem for me. If rook takes, I can strike back. Oh. Well, that's not rook takes, but I can still strike back. Yeah, that's not how the pieces move. Um,
1分、
that's gotta hurt. Thanks for the game. Wait. You're telling me that was some kind of tactical swindle and that we weren't building up to it the whole time? Anyway, that's 3 games. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.